Hello, good evening, all gentlemen. Welcome to this our first live session regarding financial reporting. Uh, First of all, let me introduce myself. Uh, I am Arshad Bhutta, having two professional certifications like CMA, Certified Management Accountant from Institute of Management Accountants, as well as ACCA, Associated Chartered Certified Accountant. I have 12 years professional experience in the field of accounting and finance and teaching profession. I have worked with different institutions in the capacity of a professional trainer. Over there, I have taught to the students of different nationalities. My core expertise are in financial accounting, corporate reporting, management accountant, as well as financial management. But here we are going to discuss about financial reporting. So first of all, in next slide, I'm going to introduce the subject with you guys. Uh, Sorry. Financial reporting is a language which communicates about company's financial position, company's operating performance, and the flows of funds over an accounting period. So this is a very generic definition over there. I am going to discuss the word language. What's the objective of language? Language is a way of communication. For that purpose, the sender of the information as well as the receiver of the information both must have to be well equipped about that language. So we are here trying to learn this language so we can communicate about these three terminologies which I have mentioned earlier, like about company's financial position, company's operating performance, as well as flows of the funds. I will discuss later on all these terminologies. There is another definition about this subject which is given by the ACCA, Associated Chartered Certified Accountant, that the overall objective of the financial reporting standards is to require all entities falling within its scope to highlight a range of important components of financial performance to aid users in understanding the performance achieved by an entity in a period and to assist them in forming a basis for their assessment of future results and cash flows. Here, in this definition, it is focused that this is communicating to whom? To the users of financial statements. Like, as I mentioned earlier, that by having the knowledge of this subject, you people are going to analyze financial performance. Keep in mind, what is performance? Performance is a parameter to assess, to gauge the results of any operation over a certain time period. So that's why we have mentioned that we are assessing the performance of the organization over a period of almost 1 year. Accounting period is, as per IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard, it's a period of 1 year. Now, one thing is very important. Like, what is the objective of any business organization? Business organization objective is to earn the profit. So how we will gauge the performance of the organization? Whether it's earning the profit or not. So over there, we will assess whether organization is getting the profits or not. By having profits, the, the business organization's wealth will go higher. So that is called financial position. We will also learn from this subject what is the position of the organization. These jargons and terminologies we will discuss later on, like through which statement, that is called statement of financial position. One thing is very important, which is focused in these two definitions in the last area, cash flows. There is a terminology, there is a jargon that business can survive without profits, but business cannot survive without cash. For instance, you are working in an organization as being an employee. You are not concerned about the profits of the organization. You are concerned whether you are getting your salary well in time or not. So these are the three areas upon which we will focus in this subject. So this is the small introduction about this subject, that under financial reporting, we are going to gauge the financial performance of the organization. We are checking what is the financial position of the organization and what are the status of their cash flows. Now I'm moving forward to the next slide. What is the relationship of this subject and what is the importance of financial reporting? You may view that there are two boxes in this diagram, those are red. So these two subjects are directly related with this subject. For instance, financial accounting, which is the paper you have already taught during your ACCA. That is the first paper, which is giving the introduction about the financial accounting and financial reporting. So we are actually carrying forward the knowledge which we got from that paper, financial accounting. And this subject is directly giving the knowledge which is useful for the upcoming paper, that is called strategic business reporting. So financial reporting is key subject to gain your success in upcoming subjects, which is strategic business reporting. On your left side, there is a box in which it's mentioned corporate and business law. I believe most of the students, you have passed this paper also. You are getting little bit knowledge from that subject, like about some rules, what is a company, what is, how company is formed, etc., which you got from where, corporate and business law. But in financial reporting, its contribution is very minor. I have also shown two diagrams of audit and assurance and advanced audit and assurance also. Over there, financial reporting, you are supposed to learn how to prepare the financial statements of the organization. Auditor major responsibility is to work, is to assess those financial statements. So the knowledge which you are getting from this subject will help you during your these two other subjects, which is audit and assurance and advanced audit and assurance. It means financial reporting is helping you in further three papers in advanced level. So I'm focusing here that we must have to uh, be well equipped about this subject at this level, because as being you are supposed to become a chartered accountant, this subject has pivotal or important role in your career as well as in your academic progression. Like as I mentioned you, that strategic business reporting is the direct subject, which is the extension of this subject. So all the knowledge which you are gaining in this subject will help you in that subject, as well as it will assist you in audit and assurance and advanced audit and assurance in these two subjects. But when you will enter in your practical life over there, as being a professional accountant, you are supposed to play with financial statements. So the knowledge which you will learn here, that will help you during your professional career. So that's why I'm always focusing to my students that be confident, focus on basics in this subject. Through that, you will accomplish your career objectives. What is the syllabus of this subject? This is very important area. And here I will share you my plan, how we will move forward to cover all these areas. First of all, the first section of our syllabus is the conceptual and regulatory framework for the financial reporting. So this is the area, this is the basic knowledge, which is giving you the foundations, how you will go through to prepare your financial statements. Then we will move forward into the next area, accounting for transactions in financial statements. Here we are supposed to learn lot of international financial reporting standards or international accounting standards. Those are supposed to deal with some specific areas. Like first area here is mentioned tangible non-current assets. For this family, we have a lot of standards. The major standard is IS 16, International Accounting Standard 16, property, plant, and equipment, which is dealing with the tangible non-current assets. Then we have IS 40, which is dealing with investment property, and like other sportive standards, IS 20, government grants, and IS 23, borrowing cost, etc., as well as IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale. Then we have and IS 36 for impairment losses. Intangible assets, these are the assets those don't have any physical substance. For that, we are supposed to learn IS 38. Then impairment of assets, as I mentioned earlier, which is dealt by IS 36. Then inventory and biological assets. Inventory, you have studied about inventory in your previous subject, which as I mentioned financial accounting. Over there, you have got the basic knowledge about inventory, which is dealt in IS2. As well as here, we are supposed to study biological assets standard, which is IS 41. Then financial instruments, there are a lot of standards, and one of the complex areas of our syllabus, that is financial instruments, IS 32, IFRS 7, IFRS 9. Then leasing. Recently, new standard IFRS 16, which is now dealing about the leasing, have replaced the previous standard, which was IS 17. Now we are supposed to study IFRS 16, that is dealing about the leasing. Then provisions and events after the reporting period. Provisions are dealt by IS 37, and events after reporting period IS 10. Taxation, IS 12, reporting financial performance, as well as revenues, government grants, and foreign currency transactions. These are all the areas which we are supposed to study. This is the key area of our syllabus. What I am emphasizing throughout my professional career as being a trainer to my students of paper financial reporting, which was previously called paper F7, that if you have a good command on international financial reporting standards, the probability to pass this exam is very much higher. I'm glad to share with you that the last session which I taught, my result was 100% about this subject. The reason behind that, all my students were well committed, and I believe the relationship between students and trainer is very important. Trainer is the role model. He is your mentor. He is supposed to guide you. Here, one thing is very important. I believe every student is committed to pass their relevant exam to accomplish their objective. But trainer major role is to guide him, to give him the right path, how he will accomplish his objective. I can assure you guys that during this session, inshallah, I will provide you the best of what I have. The best of what I have, I will provide you, and definitely you will, all people will accomplish your objective. After having a good command on all these international financial reporting standards, you would be able to prepare your financial statements. Now, financial statements, you are supposed to prepare for a single entity organization, like one organization, as well as you are supposed to prepare consolidated financial statements. What is consolidated financial statement? These are the statements of group of companies. In your paper financial accounting, you have very basic knowledge about group structure. What is group? How organizations are working. But here, this area is tested at very extensive level, and we are supposed to learn this area in a very professional way. Then the last area of our syllabus is analyzing and interpreting the financial statements of single entities and groups. Limitations of financial statements, over there we are supposed to discuss what are the drawbacks of financial statements, what are the loopholes. You know, this is rule based approach. This is the law which is designed, which is established by the individuals, by the human being. So we have a firm belief that any law which is designed and developed by the human being, that may have some loopholes. So here we are supposed to discuss what are the loopholes, the financial statements, those we have learned in our previous areas to prepare. Then one thing is very important, like I would like to give you the example to differentiate between two terminologies. One is called relative measure and one is called absolute measure. For instance, if one student have got 500 marks from his grade 5 exam and the other student have got 480 marks from his grade 6 exam. So if we are comparing these two marks, apparently the student who have got 500 marks, he is performing better. But this is not a parameter because this is an absolute measure. Reason may be the guy who got 480 marks, he may got out of 500, and the guy who got 500 marks, he may got out of 600. So in relative term, in percentage term, the guy who is getting 480 marks is performing better as compared to the guy who is getting 500 marks. So the financial statements which we have prepared, these are in absolute terms. So to compare the performance of different business entities, business organizations, we are supposed to convert those results into relative measures. So for that purpose, and to interpret the performance of the organization, we are supposed to calculate ratios. This is very technical area. Most of the students are well equipped on the numerical areas, like how to calculate the ratios. Over there, we have some formulas which we will memorize and we will calculate. But during exam, examiner is supposed to test your interpretation skills. So this is the very critical area. After that, again, we will discuss the limitations of those interpretation techniques, and then we will move forward for the last area. It is not least, that is, maybe we are supposed to deal in practical life the organizations, those are public sector organizations, or those are the organizations whose prime objective or prime motive is not to earn the profit. Here, you know that public sector organizations main objective is public welfare. So when the organization's main objective is public welfare, those organizations performance cannot be gauged on the basis of how much they have profit. And the organization, those are not profit based organizations like NGOs. Their objective is also to serve their community or the respective members. Their performance also cannot be gauged on the basis of how much profits they have earned. So here we are supposed to learn how we will evaluate the performance and the position of these organizations. What is the role of the cash flows in these organizations? So that would be our last area of the syllabus. I will discuss later on my teaching plan, that which area we are going to take first and the which area we are going to take later. I will discuss later on. This is very important thing. What are the international financial reporting standards we are supposed to study here? Like IS1, presentation of financial statements. This is about the structure of the financial statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position, statement of cash flow. IS2 about inventories, IS7, beg your pardon, IS7 separately dealing to the statement of cash flows. IS8 accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors. IS 10 events after the reporting period. These all standards are going to be tested in financial reporting paper. But you may seem that some IFRS are supposed to be tested in strategic business reporting paper. But keep in mind, the standards, those are tested here. Also, they are supposed to be tested over there. Yes, the difficulty level of the questions would be much higher for that advanced paper. But if we will learn those all standards at this level in a very good manner, they will definitely assist you in your upcoming paper. Moving forward, IS 10 events after the reporting period, IS 12 income taxes, IS 16 property, plant and equipment, IS 19 employees benefits. That is not in our jurisdiction. It will be tested in your next advanced paper. Then IS 20 accounting for government grants and disclosure of the government assistance. Then IS 21 the effects of changes in foreign exchange rates. IS 23 borrowing cost. IS 24 related party disclosure. It's not in our jurisdiction. Again, it will be tested at SBR level. Then separate financial statements, it will be tested at this level. It is about the group financial statements. Investments in associate and joint ventures, again about group financial statements, it will be tested here. Financial instruments, I already told you, one of the key areas of the syllabus as 32 will be tested here. EPS tested here. Interim financial reporting will be tested at next paper. Impairment of assets will be tested here. Provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent asset will be tested here. Intangible asset will be tested here. Investment property will be tested here. Agriculture will be tested here. First time adoption of international financial reporting standards will be tested at your advanced level. Moving forward to the next slide. What's going on? Big button. What's going on? Yes. So over there, next is IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operation. It's going to be tested here. IFRS 7, financial instruments, it's going to be tested here. Operating segment, IFRS 8, it will be tested at strategic business reporting level. IFRS 9, financial instruments is going to be tested here. Consolidated financial statements going to be tested here. Joint agreement arrangements will be tested in your advanced level. It's not in our jurisdiction. IFRS 11 and IFRS 12, disclosure of interest and other entities will be tested in strategic business reporting. Fair value measurement will be tested here. Revenue from contracts with customer, it will be tested here. Leases will be tested here. And then IFRS for small and medium sized entities, this is not going to be tested here. Then other statements. Conceptual framework for financial reporting, conceptual framework is going to be tested here. So this is the list, just a checklist. What are the standards we are supposed to study in our this session? Now, this is discussion what you are carry forwarding from your previous relevant paper, assumed knowledge from financial accounting. I believe that most of the guys, most of the students have passed this paper, and in some cases, some students may have exemptions in this paper on the basis of the previous certifications or degrees, university degrees they may have. So on that basis, it is also assumed that the subject which they have taught in their previous studies, they are well known or well familiar about these terminologies and these areas. But don't be panic, don't be confused. Let's assume, even though if one student may don't have knowledge about these things, in that case, in first 1 or 2 sessions, I may give a quick review about the knowledge of your that previous paper. So it's about you have idea about some published company's financial statements, which is called statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of financial position, as well as statement of cash flows. As well as in paper financial accounting, students have studied about IS2 inventory. They have knowledge about IS16 PPE, uh, up to some basic level, that how to recognize the tangible non-current assets, how to calculate the depreciation, this knowledge, and how to dispose of the asset you are having from your previous studies. IS38 basic knowledge about intangible assets, IS37 provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. You have basic knowledge about this standard also from your previous studies, that what is provision, what is contingent liabilities and contingent assets. Events after reporting period, you have also basic knowledge from your previous studies. Like if something is happening after the end of the accounting period, how to deal with that thing. Then basic group accounts, what is group, how to form the basic group, you have some basic knowledge about there. Definitely at paper financial reporting, you are supposed to study all these areas in a high depth at a very extensive level. But you may have some basic knowledge about all these things, all these areas from your previous studies. And the other areas we are supposed to start from very scratch level, like impairment of assets. And you have learned about some basic ratios. Definitely at paper financial reporting, ratios are tested at very extensive level. And this is the area which is most of the cases students are overlooking. I am emphasizing to all my students, don't overlook this area. What is the exam structure? This is very important area. Later on during our session, I will discuss the reasons of the failure over there. What are the common mistakes students are having during their exams? I will discuss also. We have 3 sections. Section A is about objective test questions. Uh, that is 15 objective test questions, and every question having 2 marks. So the total exam weightage is 30 marks of this area. Second section is also about objective test question OTs, but here the structure is different. You have one scenario. At the end of that scenario, you are supposed to answer 5 OTs. So you have 3 scenarios, and every scenario is comprising 5 OTs. So again, total OTs which you are supposed to answer is 15, and the total marks weightage is 30. Interestingly, what I believe under this new exam structure, when I was student, the structure of this paper was totally different. Under this structure, the student who have concept-based studies, whose concepts are very clear, and he knows how to manage his time effectively during the exam, can gain a much higher marks. His score would be very higher. But the students, those are focusing for selective studies, I'm supposed to say that their chances of success is very low. So this is very important thing, that first of all, you must have to clear your concepts, because as I already mentioned over there, that it's a rule based approach. So if your concept is clear, you are well familiar with the rule. You are supposed to deal with the scenario. You are supposed to deal what is required by the examiner. And the last area, section C, it comprises two questions. Examiners specifically saying that section C will be tested either to prepare the single organization's financial statement, either to prepare the consolidated or group financial statements, and the interpretation of financial statement, ratios analysis. From these three areas, this section will be tested. But all those other two sections, section A and section B, over there, examiner can test any area of syllabus. But keep in mind, as earlier I have mentioned with you, that it's about rules, it's about jargons, it's about some techniques, it's about some standard procedures. So if you have well command about the international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards, you are well equipped to prepare your financial statements. So major thing, the most important thing is how much you have command on your international financial reporting standards. So that is the area, as being a trainer, I am focusing much. That first of all, we are supposed to study our international financial reporting standards. Then we will move forward how to prepare our financial statements and of single entity organizations as well as group of companies, and then lastly we will move forward how to interpret your financial statements, because unless we don't know how to prepare financial statements, how we can interpret those financial statements. You know that the exam duration is 3 hours. You are supposed to attempt 100% your exam during 3 hours, and you don't have any option in this exam. After successful completion of this session and after passing of your paper of financial reporting, what would be your takeaway? How you will be well equipped? At that time, you would be equipped to prepare the financial statements. You would be able to understand different international accounting standards. Those are in our scope. You would be able to interpret the financial statements, as well as you would be able to prepare group financial statements. This would be the takeaway of your after the successful completion of this paper. Now, as I mentioned you, that ACCA sequence of subjects is very logical. Like, you know that most of the students, after completion of their skills modules, they are supposed to enter their practical life. Like after the completion of your paper of financial reporting, audit and assurance, as well as financial management, and all your preceding papers like taxation, etc., you are well equipped to work in any business organization, in any business environment. So this would be the takeaway of your this paper at the successful completion of your exam. Like, God forbid, it's not my will. If any student will not pass his exam, it means he is not well equipped about these areas. I remember when I was student of this paper, my teacher was said one day, if you got 49 marks, you got 0 marks. If you got 50 marks, you got 100 marks. What's the logic behind? It means if you got 50 marks, you have accomplished your objective, you have passed that exam. So if you got 49 marks, you have failed that exam. You did not cross that line which you were supposed to cross. So our objective is to get 50 marks, but definitely our spirits should be high. What I believe, because most of the cases in this paper, you are supposed to work with numbers. I believe 80, 85 or 90 marks is not a big task in this exam. And inshallah, after a successful session, this uh, these sessions, you would be well equipped to pass your exam with very high grades, inshallah. Moving forward to the next slide. Why students are not accomplishing their objective, reasons of failures. In my 12 years career as being a trainer, and the time when I was students of ACCA as well as CMA, I have noticed one thing, especially in objective test sections, you have 4 options of answers, and all options, all possible answers are quite similar. So if student is deviating little bit from what is the target, the other answer which he is getting, that would be also feature of the options. So student is very happy, like, well, I have answered the right option, but actually it's a wrong option. So most of the cases, why that is wrong answer, students don't understand the requirement of the question. What examiner is actually expecting from you. So I will discuss throughout the sessions the techniques, the methodologies, how to understand the question requirement. But this is one of the major reasons for the students' failure during their exams, that they don't understand what is required by the examiner. Then again, second thing is, which is quite related to that thing, that is, your answer is not according to the requirement of the examiner, and this could happen most of the cases in ratios analysis question. In your interpretation, that examiner is expecting something different, you are answering something different. So over there again, we are supposed to learn those techniques, that how we would be well equipped to structure our answer, what is the requirement of the examiner. Third thing, which is time management. That's very important. As I mentioned you earlier, that our exam is comprised 3 hours, which is 180 minutes, and we are having 100 marks exam. So every mark allocation is 1.8 minutes. So the standard time which is allowed for 1 mark, that is 1.8 minutes. So for 2 minutes question, which is OT of section 1, we have a 2 marks question. We have how many minutes? 3.6 minutes. Okay. So in total, how many minutes we have for section A? That is 54 minutes. 3.6 minutes for every OT, and total time is 54 minutes. But during your exam, you may notice that there are some OTs, those are single word. There would be one word in your question which will change your answer. So most of the cases, it's a very enough time. What is enough time? 3.6 minutes for one OT question. Sometimes you would be capable to answer your one OT during 1 or 1.5 minutes, and sometimes you may have some uh, statement of the question is much bigger over there. It may take more than 3.5, but keep in mind you are supposed to balance your overall time. You are supposed to answer all questions of section A within 54 minutes. Again, for section B you have again 54 minutes, and for every scenario you have 18 minutes, because you are supposed to answer 5 OTs in for every scenario. And for the last section we have 72 minutes, and for every descriptive question we have 36 minutes. Here is a big challenge. What I'm recommending to my students, try to save your time from OT sections and to invest that time in section C. But keep in mind, don't overlook, don't be much more smart in your section A and section B, because section A and section B is giving you the assurance to your to pass your exam, because over there you have chance to get 60 out of 60. If your all OTs are correct, you have high probability to get 60 out of 60. Okay, so that is the area where you are supposed to deal. Then the next problem, which is selective study. As I mentioned earlier, the time when I was student over there, you have descriptive questions, so your gambling can work. You can work through selective studies. But here, as I mentioned, that key areas is OT sections, and you have 60 marks weightage of OT section, which over there examiner can test any area. So don't overlook in any area. You must have to cover all areas of syllabus. And the last thing, which is lack of practice. As I mentioned, it's a you know numerical paper. So over there, practice, 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 practice. The key to success for financial reporting, that is practice. Definitely, I will discuss some numerical questions, some theoretical questions during the sessions, as well as in some recorded video lectures. But it's a responsibility of the students that how much they are practicing. Definitely, you may have some constraints, but as you know that due to the COVID-19, like all over the world, things are paralyzed, and most of the people are now staying at their home, and that is the advice through WHO that you must have to stay home. So I believe the students, those are full-time students, they have ample time, because our next session of the exam is going to be held in September. So they have ample time for practice. But the students, like those are also working professionals, they may have some constraints. But keep in mind, even though you may have some constraints, your key to success is how much practicing you are. Now I'm going to discuss the key to success. First of all, understand the basics well, which is you must have to revise your knowledge from your of your previous subject, which is financial accounting. Full coverage of syllabus, as I mentioned earlier, maximum practice, understanding of the requirement of the examiner, revision of the syllabus, what are the instructions of your mentor you are supposed to follow, and one thing which is about your exam. Don't be focused to answer 100% correct, means you are not supposed to spend more time on any part. Like you can't take 10 minutes to answer one OT. So first of all, focus on the easier part of your uh, questions, and then you will move forward in the complex areas. What I believe, what is the definition of easier and success? If you have knowledge about that thing, that is easier for you. And if you don't have knowledge about that thing, that is very difficult. Like I'm an accountant, I'm not a scientist. If someone, even though, will ask me that define biology, It's very difficult for me. I could not define that thing because I don't have knowledge of that thing. But if someone will ask me to define what is financial reporting, I can define easily. So this is the thing. So move forward according to the competence which you have gained during the sessions, during your exam. These are the key to success. In the last area, I'm going to discuss how we will move forward. We will share from our portal some electronic notes which will help you. There are some you may have access from your portals about the recorded lectures. We will conduct live webinars. The schedule will be shared by the management with you guys, like we are doing today. We will conduct a mock exam at the end of the session with extensive feedback, as well as we will do rapid fire revision at the end of the session. But one thing which I will uh, assure you that I would be available to you guys 24/7 through our uh, official group, which is created by our management about financial reporting. So over there, I will answer your queries. I will respond to your questions, and I will give you all the expertise which I have to you to accomplish your objective. Now, gentlemen, do you have any question and answer? I can answer your questions as well as if you have any specific questions. Hello? Anyone have any question? Well, no one have any question, but later on, if you may have any question, you can share during your answers. Like I have some questions. Uh, yes, Mohsin, do you have any question? Yeah, sure. Ask, please. Okay. Mohsin, do you have any question you can ask? Mohsin, like in section C, all the standards which I have shared with you, these are used to prepare your financial statement. For example, when examiner will ask you to prepare statement of financial position or statement of financial performance, over there you are supposed to calculate depreciation. How to calculate depreciation? It is dealt in IS 16. So in this way, examiner is going to test all the standards in section C. Like you may have adjustment about inventories. So this is the way examiner will test all the standards in section C. Okay. Adis, your question is about the timetable. It will be shared very soon from the management to you. Any other guy have any question? Mohsin, confirm in section C is preparation of financial statements, but I am focusing again how to prepare financial statements. That is learned through IS. And the other topic which is confirmed in section C, that is interpretation of the financial statements, ratios analysis. So section C questions would be either to prepare financial single entity organization financial statement or group financial statements, or ratios analysis, which is about interpretation. So section C, individual IFRS question not be tested in section C. Again, I'm focusing you that in section C, examiner will either ask you to prepare financial statements of single entity or group of companies, and the other question examiner will test, that is about ratios analysis, interpretation of the financial statements. Uh, Look, Dada, my reading notes, videos, lectures are sufficient. Uh, Definitely, the book which I would recommend to you guys, that is Kaplan Financial. Okay, but the most of important thing, that my study notes would be fair enough, as well as lectures. Along with that, you are supposed to do practice, but for the reference purpose, I would recommend you Kaplan Financial book. Okay, any other guy have question? Okay, I believe no question. Thank you very much uh, for your time, for your precious time. Next class schedule will be shared by the examiner, sorry, by the management. But I need your feedback in our group, whether we need to revise the basic knowledge of financial accounting or we will move forward. If we don't have need for that, then we will start our proper study from IS 16, which is PPE, property, plant, and equipment. First of all, we will discuss the standards relevant to the non-current assets family. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Again, thank you very much.